Hello, fellow fantasy sports fans. We are here on MFSN. It is time for baseball's waiver wire. It's our favorite sport. When we come around to the other sports, we'll deny it. We're going to pretend we like the other sports just as much, but it's actually not true. We love baseball. All right, guys, we're here to discuss, as usual, 60% and under rostered in Yahoo leagues. There's many ways to do it, but that's the way we do it. We're going to run through each position. And then we always have a surprise for you in the middle of the show. So I'm here with Vlad to the Bone, Casey Scheinbold, and Ross the Boss.
Hey everybody, I'm Ross the Boss, and I want to talk baseball waiver wire with you, cowboy. God, I've been watching baseball all morning. It's been great. I can't wait to talk about it. We got some great waiver wire pickup guys, so make sure you watch and make sure you pick up the players immediately because I'm not going to be there tomorrow.
No, listen, if you play in a league that has free agent ads where you don't have to wait for waivers, you can be watching the show with your computer on your lap, even if it's a desktop, even though it's weird. But you can do it if you want, and you can pick up players. Otherwise, get your claims in and make sure that you think through, if it's free agent dollars, how much you're going to pay for them. So, guys, we're going to start with catchers. Ross, I'm going to start with you. Who's your number one pickup at catcher?
Number one pickup, this guy already has like over 40 at-bats, and he plays for your Milwaukee Brewers. It's Omar Narves. Did I say it right, Case?
Narvaez.
He's hitting over 300. He has 2 home runs. He has 8 RBIs. He's been killing the ball. And the most important part about catcher position is at bats. I always feel like they'll rest catchers like once every other day. This guy's been playing almost every day and been killing the ball. So if you need a catcher that's not playing every day, that's going to hit for average. This guy's hitting for average right now. Omar's my guy.
I think he's a great pickup. Casey, what do you have to say?
I like Omar Narvaez, but my number one pickup is the catcher in Detroit right now, who's only 57% owned or 56% owned, and that's Wilson Ramos, who in the last 2 weeks alone has hit 6 home runs and is still batting a respectable 235. Catcher's not going to be a boon for 4 or 5 category producers, but if you can get somebody who is producing power like that for you out of the catcher position, and he has 51 at bats, so he's getting plenty of at bats, I would consider him the top pickup at catcher.
He's a great pickup. Also, so listen, my top pickup though is a different guy. I have no problem with either of your pickups. I have Carson Kelly as my number one pickup. He's batting 375, 3 homers, 7 RBIs. And he's getting solid at bats too, but he was a top prospect at one point. I think that he's coming around. This is like the Travis d'Arnaud story.
He's only 32% owned.
He's only 32% owned. So you can snag this guy, and I think he is the guy to get. Guys, is there one name out there that we need to name before we move to first base? Because we want to cover our bases.
Tucker Barnhart. As much as I dislike him as a hitter, he's killing the ball this year. He's the Golden Glove winner for the Cincinnati Reds. Tucker, he's not slowing down. I thought it would be like batting like 250 by now, but he's over 300. He's hitting the ball. The Reds are all hitting the ball. But if you need another catcher, it's not a bad pickup as a streaker.
I thought
streamer.
Yeah, a streaker. Well, you can pick him up. I mean, you got to get him probably in the bathroom to be a streaker. All right, guys, let's move on to first base. But before we do, let's remind our fans out there, especially if you haven't already done so, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below. Also, if you want to come on to join us, you can go to www.callmfsn.com. You can come on video or audio, and we will talk your ear off or let you do it. Either way. Guys, first base. We have, I think, the number one pickup. I'm going to dive in here. The number one pickup for me.
You're going to take my guy. Here we go.
Oh, I should let you have it. Shouldn't
No, go ahead. You earned it.
The number one guy is Nate Lowe. Nate Lowe, this guy he's killing the ball, and he was a top prospect. He got cut. He's one of these guys that's going to get cut and then picked up again for maybe a week or two here. But pretty soon you're not going to be able to get Nate Lowe. He's my number one pick. Was that your guy, Casey?
He was number 2 for me, actually. So you saved my number one guy. My number one guy is he's playing primarily first base, but he also qualifies at second base and third base. So I figured he was more valuable to me, and that's Colin Moran in Pittsburgh. He's in the 50s in his ownership. He's batting 300, 4 home runs, 13 RBIs. So he's doing it all right now for the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I think he was part of that Garrett Cole trade that sent Garrett Cole to the Astros many years ago. At one point, Colin Moran was considered a big prospect with a bright hitting future. And he appears to be at least really hot right now and worth riding that wave.
And the winner of the Garrett Cole deal was the New York Yankees. Jesus Christ. How did that happen? All right. Actually, I just realized I'm gonna do what most fantasy experts don't do. I'm gonna recognize when I made a mistake. Nate Lowe, I just looked. He's 65% owned. I'm just giving you bad information, but you can get him. But I can't have him as my top pick. So give me a second. I'll get back to you on that. Ross, we're going to you.
This guy has been rejuvenated this year. I mean, he's been the past week. He's hitting over like 400. Right now, I know he's hitting like 254 right now. He has 3 home runs. It's Joey Votto of the Cincinnati Reds. He rejuvenated himself. I mean, this guy is making great defensive plays. He's hitting the ball with confidence. I don't think he'll have the MVP year like he had like 12 years ago. He's not going to do that. He's 37 years old. Let's not joke around. But he is going to he'll do some damage. And it's not a bad pickup. If you need a first baseman that's going to be another streamer for me, but I think this guy will have a good year this year. I was never a huge Votto fan, especially the past 3 years, but I changed my mind. I'm back on the bandwagon. Joey Votto is my first pick for a first baseman.
Right, I like that pick a lot. I was actually watching a Reds game the other day, and they were talking about him and how he's taken a much more aggressive approach. He's used to be, he's always known as the most patient hitter who will sit there and wait and has such good strike zone judgment. Well, he's realizing that people are throwing him easy strikes early, so he's trying to get out in front, and you're seeing a big difference from that so far this year. I think it's a great pickup. I'm not even certain he's just a streamer at this point. He can almost be an everyday first baseman until all of this slows down.
And listen, if he's naked, he can be a streaker. That's fine.
There you go.
So I totally agree with you, Ross. In fact, I said Joey Votto last week, and I said it because I was like, it could be that he's figured something out, and I think Casey nailed it. When a hitter as intelligent as Joey Votto makes an adjustment, he can be a real difference maker for the rest of the season. I'm going to go. I like both of those guys. I like Nate Lowe better. I like Joey Votto better. Casey, who did you say? No, Colin Moran. I'm not actually as big a fan.
You're not a big fan. As last week you downplayed him. I remember.
I still am downplaying him, but I will admit if I'm wrong. We're going to see in the next couple of weeks. If you need a guy, though, that's going to provide you with good power numbers, I almost hesitate to say it. Carlos Santana, because his batting average is going to kill you.
If it's an on-base percentage league, that's a great pickup, though. There are some leagues that don't use batting average; they use OBP, and he is always among the league leaders
and he's
in that.
3 home runs, 12 RBIs right now. I mean, it's not a bad pickup. I agree with you, Dan. It's not bad.
But I will say, I probably would rather go with Jesus Aguilar.
Aguilar.
He is a guy who I think is always going to hit for. He's like Santana without the batting average risk, but he might not hit at quite the power level of Santana. All right, let's go to second base, the thinnest position in baseball, if you ask me. Who do we have at second base for the people out there? Let's go with you, Casey. We're going to start with
I'm going to go with a person who actually is on Ross's team, so I'm giving him props for knowing this ahead of time, and that's Kike Hernandez in Boston. He's taken the trip from the West Coast to the East Coast, and he's their primary second baseman right now. And he's playing really well. He's batting .250. It's not the greatest number, but he's getting home runs. He's scoring a lot of runs. He bats consistently day in and day out in that lineup. And Boston right now is producing. So it's a good player to have. He has multi-position eligibility with shortstop and outfield as well. So you can get him into your lineup no matter what. I think it's a really strong pickup.
Ross, how about you?
I'm kind of torn, but I'm going to say Nick Magical of the Chicago White Sox. He's going to hit for average, and he's going to steal. He'll have double-digit steals this year for sure. I'll bet my house on it. I mean, Nick is a good hitter. He's not going to hit the home runs like Casey likes. Casey likes home runs, but he's not going to do that for Casey. He's going to get stolen bases, and he's going to hit for average for you. And the White Sox, as we talked about in the past in our preview show, he will be in that lineup, and he'll be producing. So I'd like Nick Magical.
Casey digs the long ball, so he does not dig Madrigal's magic. So I'm going to go with somebody Ross mentioned in week 1, Jonathan India. This guy could be a real difference maker. I think you want to snag him. And by the way, this is a little unfair. I'm going to go over 60% again, but there's a reason for this. Ty France is going to dip below 60% because he's injured right now. but he's producing. I would scoop him up. But if I had to pick one, it's Jonathan India. Okay, guys, let's move on to third base. We're going to start with you, Ross.
Starting with me. I don't know what to do. No, I'm kidding.
I started with you just all the way back when we were doing catcher.
So I feel like third base is the weakest position for under 60% this week. It could change, but Evan Longoria, he still hasn't cooled down. I mean, this guy, he must be in his mid-30s. I mean, he was great 10 years ago. I know that. I'm not stupid. He was great in college, too. Unbelievable in college. Great with the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. But right now, he's hitting like 291. He has 4 home runs, 9 RBIs. He's been hitting the ball really hard. And the Giants are like the surprise team right now. I don't know if you guys know this. They're like in second place. I mean, in that West division, which is the toughest division in baseball. Take that, Casey Scheifele.
That's pretty amazing.
Toughest division. It's not your stupid Yankee division. It's the National League
I actually think the NL East is the toughest.
You're out of your mind. You don't know what you're talking about. Ooh. Okay, and so I like Longoria. Another guy that I like is Josh Harrison. He can play second base. He can play third. He's been hitting over 400. I mean, this guy's been on a tear. So he's another streaker. I call them streakers, not streamer. I call them streakers. What we do
on this show.
I do that on purpose, just so Casey has to correct me. But this guy played for the Pirates. Now he's for the Nationals. He's been playing great. If you need a guy for batting average, he'll hit a few home runs. He's got a good guy to pick up.
Guys, we have an old friend back, Sam Jacobowitz. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Sam Jacobowitz, he's here.
Sam, welcome. He says I picked up Civale. Is that how you say his name?
Civale. He pitched great last time out.
Unbelievable.
That's a good pickup, Sam.
That's a good pickup.
Is that all he has to say? There's no question. He just said he picked him up. That's what he's saying.
He's boasting. He's kind of proving.
Okay, Sam, we need questions, not statements. But ask us a question. Anything about baseball.
I like Sam's swagger.
Answer it.
I like Sam's swagger. But Sam, listen, we're on third base right now. So if you want to focus.
And we're heading home, Sam. You know what that means?
We're staying with third base. So, Casey, who would you pick up? But I'm going to give you a choice. If you pick up Travis Shaw or Jeimer Candelaria, who would you pick
Actually, I was going to mention Travis Shaw, so I'll go with him only because of the RBIs he's putting up. I believe he has 15 already on the year. He's not going to give you a great batting average, but he qualifies at both corners on the diamond. Candelaria doesn't. I like him. He's in Detroit, correct? And he's producing pretty well. I just think Shaw has the track record that I trust a little bit more at this point.
And Travis Shaw is going to get hot. You know that he'll in June playing in Milwaukee, he's going to have a hot streak where he's like 5 or 6 home runs in 1 week. That's the type of hitter he is. He can hit the lefties though. This year against lefties, you know what he is, Casey? He's 0 for 9. He hasn't even hit a lefty yet. But against righties, he's been killing the ball. Which
doesn't matter if you're in a daily league.
It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Of course it matters. You out of your mind. Just give me some stats, but it's a good pickup. Keep going.
All right. I'm going to say I like Candelaria better because Candelaria.
John Candelaria does not play third base in Detroit. Is that who you're talking about?
John Candelaria. I think there's no O at the end there.
Oh, right. Okay.
He pitched for the California Angels when they were the California Angels.
Yeah,
and the World Series in Pittsburgh.
Oh,
We Are Family in 1979. You didn't know that, did you?
I actually didn't know he was on that team. Wow, you learn something every day. I would say Candelaria is a big time pickup, but listen, Jonathan India qualifies at third base. If I had to choose between the two, India's got the greater upside, so I'd go with him again. But I'm not going to pick him up for second base and third base. I'd probably pick him up for second base. But Ross, you do make a good point. Third base is thinner.
It is
I would have
thinner.
expected at this moment. You got to remember it's going to change though. So let's move to shortstop. Ross, I started with you last time. I know this is really going to upset you, but I'm going to start with Casey now.
You can start with me.
I'm going to go with 2 names. I'm going to go with Paul DeJong in St. Louis. I know his numbers aren't great right now, but this is another one who, as we like, I'll call him a steamer. How's that? We'll go with a steamer instead of a streaker or a streamer. I'll just come up with a new name every time. He is one of those guys who can put up real good numbers for weeks on end. He's not very much owned. He's at 47%. He already has 5 home runs on the season. He's scored 13 runs. So he's putting up decent peripherals for you. The average isn't there yet, but from what I read, his barrel rate and his exit velocity are still really good. So it could just be bad luck that his average is so low.
Casey, talk about barrel rate. What is this stat? People, I know what it is, but out there.
Tell what it is. I know what it is too.
Well, it's the difference between hard contact and soft contact. Obviously, a baseball bat, where you want to hit it, they say is off the label, which is on the barrel of the bat. And so when you square up a ball on the barrel of the bat, it tends to have a lot more velocity leaving the bat. And so the more barrels you hit, as opposed to hitting it off the handle or off the end of the bat, the more likely you are that you're making hard contact, which portends to a better batting average or a more productive offensive profile.
Wow, that was like you have a doctorate, don't you?
He does.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with a guy 57% owned, Andres Jimenez. This guy plays for my Cleveland Indians. They're still the Indians for now. I don't know what they're going to be, the Cleveland Spiders or whatever. But Jimenez has 2 steals. He has 2 homers. He's only batting 230, 235, and he's not even always playing all the time. But listen, I'm shocked by this. I looked at shortstop, and I was like, shortstop is even thinner. I mean,
rough.
And what it's showing is there's a lot of good players out there scooping up a lot of good players. But if I had to pick one guy, I'll come back to this. I'm going to give Ross a chance, and I want to scoop his guy. Go ahead, Ross.
So my guy, again, it's very thin. I like Paul for St. Louis. I know he's batting 175, but he does hit that long ball. And what do chicks dig is the long ball. I like Simmons for Minnesota. He's on the COVID list. I don't know if he has COVID. I don't think he has it, but he came in contact with somebody that has it. So he's on the list. He's not playing, but he's going to steal 20-something bases this year. He already has 3, and he's batting 385. It's a lot better than Casey Scheinfeld. So I like Simmons. I'm not going to say his first name because I don't want Casey to correct me, but I like, even though you have to wait a few days for him to get back active again, pick him up, stash him. He'll be great this year. Don't worry.
See, and that brings up a key point. You scoop them up when you can. Sometimes it's the injury that allows you to scoop them up. Be ahead of it by a couple days. My number 1 pickup in shortstop is still going to be Wander Franco. I don't know what he's going to do, but if he's going to be up, you pick him up. I predict
he'll be up in June. That's Ross the Boss.
I agree.
I say June. June bloom equals Franco.
If you don't pick up Wander Franco in the next 2 weeks, you're not going to get him.
What?
No, you're not. It's not going to happen.
I'm picking him up right now, Dr. Dan. Thanks for the advice.
I mean, look, if you're in an 8-team league, maybe. If you're in a 10-team league even, you're not going to get him unless you pick him up in the next week or 2. Another guy you could pick up, Elvis Andrews, has a lot of upside. He's hitting 136.
Oh, I've been burned by him so many times in the past, though.
See, I haven't. So I'm looking to get burned, and I think he's my guy. Okay. Guys, we're going to now move to a different segment. We do something different in between every week. This week, we're going to talk about guys who have been cut, who should not have been cut, which is another way of saying guys who you should pick up because they shouldn't have been cut. It's really the same thing. Ross, we're going to start with you, but I do want to remind everybody first, if you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below. Okay, Ross, who do you got?
How many do you want me to name? I'll name 2. So that way people, I'm not going to take Casey.
Are you going to do a hitter and a pitcher?
I'll do a pitcher and a hitter. How about that?
All right, let's do that.
My first guy is Max Fried of Atlanta. Horrible start. He's not going to keep doing what he's doing. People are dropping him like flies right now. Don't drop him. This kid is great. He went to the same high school as Flattery. And the same, he also went to the same high school as Giolito. They all went to school together. These guys are best friends. These 3 will be great pitchers in Major League Baseball. Max Fried, pick him up if he's available in your league. I don't know. You may want to stash him. Another one that you should stash. He had a great game actually today. He had a home run today. He had a few RBIs. And he's hitting I think he's hitting Casey's weight. I mean, that's how bad he's doing right now. And people are dropping him. He's probably available in like 92% of leagues. Is Jock Peterson of the Chicago Cubs. Horrible start. I mean, horrible. I'm not going to say like, oh my God, he's hitting great. He's not hitting great, but he's going to start heating up. And April's almost over. When April's over, watch out, folks. Jock Peterson will be back. And when it's hot in Chicago in Wrigley Field, What does that ball do? What does that ball do, Casey Scheinfeld?
It flies out of the park.
It flies there. Warm weather, loves Chicago. So that all being said, pick up Jock Peterson, stash him. Don't start him, but stash him away.
All right, great picks. And Casey, we're going to get to you in a second, but we have a question from Sam. I traded DJ and Kimbrel for Liam Hendricks and Aroldis Chapman. Okay, now, what do we think about this deal?
Well, I guess it depends on what else you have on your infield, because I'm assuming DJ refers to DJ LeMahieu, who's just like a robot batting machine in there, who's going to play first, second, or third for you and bat well over 300 and drive in a bunch of runs and score a bunch of runs. Obviously, Hendricks and Chapman are huge upgrades over Kimbrel right now, just because of the reliability that they provide and the saves. They're both playing for teams that should be winning a lot. I understand the Yankees aren't yet, Ross, before you jump on me there, but I'd still rather have Chapman over Kimbrel going forward. So if I had solid offense and could afford to do it, certainly in a league like the league that the three of us are in, the keeper league that Dan, the boss, and I are in, where saves it feels like they're worth more than any other statistic at times. I think it's a really strong trade. I would be worried about losing LeMahieu, because that level of reliability and predictability from a middle infield like second base is really hard to replace.
But let's also, always say it's all in the context of the trade of the league and your team. If you have one closer and you just traded for two and it cost you DJ LeMahieu.
And if I remember correctly, in the basketball league, Sam told us about his team, and it was like 9 top 15 picks he had on his roster. So if his roster is as stacked in baseball as it is in basketball, then he's fine losing LeMahieu.
Yeah, I think he plays with like people that never played sports before, that don't watch sports. I don't know what league he plays in, but
he plays with only Pittsburgh Pirate fans, so they just draft Pirates.
I want to play in that league. Sam, sign me up.
Sam, Ross is going after you today. If you need me to defend you, I will. I will defend your honor. All right, Casey, give us a hitter and a pitcher that you're seeing getting cut at a rate you would not expect, and that you think either scoop them up or just make sure you don't.
And it's not Mike Trout either. Don't say Mike Trout.
Well, I wouldn't drop him, that's for sure. Okay. But
if you say
I'm actually going to
you lose the testicle.
Okay. My pitcher is one who's scarcely underowned, and I'm assuming been dropped because he's on the IL, and that's Johnny Cueto, whose numbers are great. He's just hurt right now. I'm not sure exactly how long he's out for, but for some reason he's available in like 65% of leagues, which is crazy to me. On the offensive side, there is another Chicago Cub I could name, in Ian Happ, who started off pretty slowly, but he's still batting atop that lineup, and he qualifies at like 4 different positions. I don't think that's somebody you drop yet. He had a really good year last year, even in the truncated season. But I'm going to go with AJ Pollock, who's being dropped a lot more than I thought he should. He's off to a cold start, but this guy, when healthy, has produced every year. He's in that Los Angeles Dodgers lineup, which produces opportunities all up and down the place. And with Bellinger being out with his fracture in his leg, Pollock is pretty much guaranteed at least 80%, starting 80 to 90% of the game. So this is a guy who can run, hit for power, hit for average. He's somebody I wouldn't drop just because he got off to a cold start.
I think these are great picks, and I want to weigh in, but actually we got to move on. So I'll come back to my picks if there's time.
Whoa.
We're going to move to outfield. I'm going to start with you, Ross.
Okay.
Now, outfield has 3 different spots. So we're going to name probably some more outfielders than we name in other positions. So give us 2.
The hottest pickup right now in the waiver wire is this kid from the LA Dodgers, is Zach Mckinsley. Did I say it right?
Mckinstry, I think.
Mckinstry. He's hitting over 300. He has 3 home runs, 14 RBIs. Cody Bellinger just announced today that he is really hurt. He's not going to come back anytime soon. So Zach, you're going to be playing more. And when he comes back, if Zach's killing the ball like he is, I don't know what the Dodgers do. I don't know if they send him back down. They want this kid playing. So I pick him up. He could be a streaker. I'm keeping the streaker role. I'm keeping it. But my number one pickup is, I love his youth. I watch a lot of Dodger games because I'm stuck here in Los Angeles. And again, this kid is for real. I like this kid a lot.
And Casey.
Okay, I'm going to name 3 only because I'm going to name one who hasn't played yet this year, and that's Kellenick. For some reason, he's kind of a Wander Franco type. Once he gets the call up, you're not going to be able to get him anymore. So get him now. He's still available in over 40% of the leagues. But the two that are playing right now that I think are the best pickups are Adam Eaton in Chicago. He scores runs. He knocks in runs. He can steal bags. He's going to bat close to 280 to 300. He kind of does it all. He always has, and he's been one of those under the radar producers who's like the great third outfielder because he's got such a high floor. He might not have the highest ceiling of some of the fancier names. The other one I'm going with is Avisail Garcia in Milwaukee. With Yelich being hurt and Kane being hurt, he's getting plenty of at-bats. He has a good batter's eye. He's going to put up a decent average. He can hit for power. He doesn't run that much, but runs, RBI. He can help you in all four other categories.
Okay, so I have two guys who could not be more diametrically opposed. David Peralta is a guy that I think you want to scoop up. He's a guy who's going to hit for decent average. He's only 23% owned, and he for the last 2 or 3 years, he has been a very, very solid producer. Extremely underrated. I think you scoop him up right away. Adam Duvall on the other side, totally different kind of guy. This guy is killing the ball, but he's also going to have a terrible average. So it depends on your need, but those are two guys that I would snag. I also still like Raimel Tapia in Colorado. Any player who's getting playing time in Colorado, I tend to like. I give him a longer leash. So those are three guys. Anybody else that you would mention, Ross, that we have?
Yeah, I mean, I like Finding Nemo. I call him Brandon Nemo of the Mets. 0 home runs, killing the ball, hitting way over 350, destroying the ball. I like him a lot. And the other guy I like plays in probably the smallest market in baseball. It's not Ryan Reynolds. I'm not going to say Ryan Reynolds in case he corrects me. I'm going to say Brian Reynolds.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's been another guy killing the ball, destroying the ball. If he's played for the Yankees, he'll be on front page of like every baseball magazine, but he doesn't play for New York. He plays in Pittsburgh when no one cares, but he's hitting over 300. He has like 3 or 4 home runs. He's been 17 RBIs. He's been playing great. So if you need outfielders, there's plenty of them. Go get them.
But if he starred in Green Lantern, would the movie have done as well as it did?
You are correct. I don't know.
Yes, you are correct, sir. Okay, let's move on to we're going to move on to pitching now.
No.
Pitching is half the game. It's half the game.
Yeah,
we need time here. We're going to go to starting pitching, and I want to know who is your best guy, Casey, out there, 60% and under.
Here we go, Case.
Okay.
Make it count.
Because Savale, by the way, will say it is now 86% owned.
Yeah, to be able to pick him up, that's pretty impressive. I have 2 names that I really like in terms of right now. One is Tony Disco, Anthony DiScalfani. He had a rough outing today against Philadelphia, where I think it was four innings, 3 earned runs. But prior to that, he was just dealing. He was lights out for his previous starts, going 17 innings with a 1.06 whip, 1.06 ERA, and 16 strikeouts. And then Christian Javier in Houston is another young pitcher who maybe not a lot of people know about, who just produces. He knows how to pitch, and he pitches well, and Houston is the benefit of that. And he's available in almost 50% of the league. So they would be the 2 I would jump on first.
Ross, I'm going to jump in before you. I'm going to go with Jake Arrieta, who
love it.
I think he's rounding into form. He's not going to be that former ace that he was, but he's also not going to be the Baltimore Oriole that he was. He's a good, solid pitcher. And Michael Kopech is the other guy.
Oh, I love Kopech. Yeah.
He's just been amazing. And I'll tell you what, at worst, you're going to get an ace middle reliever who's probably even going to pick up some saves here and there. He's going to pick up some wins. He's a great guy to pick up. He will never hurt you. And he could become a top-end guy by the end of the year, or by August.
Kopech has a 10 innings, 17 strikeouts. It's unbelievable. Kopech, you're right on the money with Kopech. I love that pickup. I don't know where they should start him, but we'll have to wait till somebody gets hurt in Chicago. We'll see what happens. Is it my turn?
It is your turn.
I like Brady Singer of the Kansas City Royals. This guy's been pitching lights out, ERA under 3, 14 innings pitched, 17 strikeouts. I know he plays in a small market in Kansas City, but this kid, you got to watch him pitch. Unbelievable stuff. Nasty. I like Patrick Duffy, who pitches for Kansas City too. Patrick Duffy, as we know, he started in Dallas. He was unbelievable. It's not Patrick Duffy. But
It's
I was waiting.
Danny Duffy. I was like, how long do we wait?
I was waiting for you guys to correct me. You guys didn't fall for it. But he has 3 wins this year, ERA under 2. I said 2 Kansas City pitchers, and I don't know why. Another guy that I love, and he's the best pitcher on the Reds. I mean, he had a shaky start. He's been relieving. He went to Texas Christian University. TCU is TJ Antone. He's been unbelievable this year. Lights out. He gave up his first run this week. But the Reds are going to have to start this kid. And when they do start him, watch out. He's been their best pitcher in the staff, far none. And I love this kid. If you can get him, stash him, he's going to be great.
2 other guys to mention. And then, sorry, Casey. Did you say Johnny Cueto before?
I did. Johnny Cueto. Said him as the one who you should pick up in that.
I'm totally with you on that. But
Casey, just so you know, he'll be back next week. He's out. He's out this whole week. He's back.
Get him
week.
Now while you can.
Yeah.
So one that I'm saying is one that Casey said, and the other is named Casey. Casey Mize.
That's who I was going to name.
Oh yeah,
I love
wrong
that kid.
Spelling for Casey, but he spells it with a C. But
the girls spelling, we don't like that spelling. Right,
and
Casey?
We have a guy in our league who has my favorite team name in our league of Mize and.
Is
Men.
it me? It's me.
No, it's of Mize and Men.
Oh,
yours is
the Steinbeck reference is always a nice touch.
It's always good. Okay, Casey, who else do you have, or was it Casey Mize that you were going to say?
It was Casey Mize. The only other one I might throw in there is to pick up. Nate Pearson is ramping up his pitching in Toronto. He's on the IL. He's a good one to pick up because his numbers are insane when he's healthy. He hasn't been able to stay healthy, but it's worth a flyer because you can stash him. And then he qualifies at starter. Who knows when David Price is going to get a chance to play as a starter in the Dodgers organization. So he's another one you can look at as somebody who you might want to snatch if you hear he gets a role.
Okay, now I'm going to start us off at relief pitcher because I have to jump in. This is one of those times where I'm going to talk about, in fantasy, it sometimes feels like you anger the fantasy gods in some way, or so you just know something's going to happen. So this guy is 59% owned. Lou Trevino. There's no way this guy isn't going to be an ace relief pitcher. And you know why? It's because I drafted Trevor Rosenthal, and then he goes down like 30 seconds later, and then we go through all these different pickups, and who ends up getting him? Andrew.
Lee Trevino.
Jim the Gent. Andrew gets Lee Trevino. He's a golfer and a pitcher separated by generations. So there's no way this guy isn't going to be good just because that's the way things go. So that's my first mention. Casey, let's go to you for the next one.
I'll mention one, and that's Cesar Valdez in Baltimore.
Hail Caesar.
He is pitching lights out, 4 saves, under 1 WHIP and ERA. Baltimore is going to be in a lot of close games. So if they're going to win any, I think there's going to be a lot of save opportunities, and he's pitching like he wants the job and nobody can take it from him. So he's only 59% owned. So he's right on the cusp, but he's somebody that I would run to the waiver wire and pick up right now as well.
All right, Ross, how about you?
Ian Kennedy, Texas Ranger closer. I think he's up to 4 saves already. He's been showing great form. Last year, I think he was a closer for Kansas City. Kansas City is like the theme today for me. I don't know why. I don't know maybe I should have barbecue tonight. But long story short, I like Ian Kennedy. He's been pitching unbelievable at Texas. I think Texas will at least finish 500 this year, so he'll get a lot of appearances. Another guy that does not, he'll start a lot of games, but he does both. He's RP and SP, and he's from Barstow, California, and he had such high expectations when he pitched for Toronto Blue Jays, and he didn't really pan out there. Now he's with the Giants. His name's Aaron Sanchez. Nasty. He had Tommy John surgery last year, but he's back. I mean, he looked great for the Giants. I saw his last start. He's unbelievable. But he qualifies as RP also. But he'll be starting most of his games. I know he's a starter. But long story short, if you need the guy that's like at 90, he's available in like 92% of the leagues. Pick him up.
One of the things I love about baseball is the history of it. When you said a Toronto pitcher, just my synapses just were like Dave Steep, which of course is not who you should pick.
Don Beebe.
All right, but here's another guy, Kendall Graveman. Kendall Graveman is the Lou Trevino of Seattle.
Yeah, I'm on my list.
Except it's not. He doesn't have a personal vendetta against me, so he's not going to do quite as well as Trevino. But Graveman he's one of these guys that
it's his job too. They already admitted it's his job. He has a job to lose. So there you go.
Now let's also say sometimes these percentages are in they're deflated by the fact that there's like 18 leagues where a guy's not going to pick up Graveman, or maybe there's a league that doesn't play with closers. And if there is that league, God bless that league, because it's a lot less of a pain. Closers will kill you. But there's guys like Joakim Soria, who's owned 40%. I wouldn't own him right now.
Yeah.
He's injured. He's probably lost that job. Who has that job, guys? At this point, who would you say is the favorite for saves in Arizona?
The guy you picked up. You know who it is. Why are you asking us?
Because
Who
I
is
wanted
it,
the
Dan?
credit. That's why. No, I actually didn't. I didn't know where things stand. It's Stephen Crichton.
There you go.
Is the guy that I scooped up. I don't know.
I dropped him. You pick him up.
I mean, I'll tell you, the market for closers is ridiculous.
We didn't say Daniel Bard. He's available. He's under 60%. Daniel, I'll say it right. Daniel Bard.
Yes.
You know, he's the closer in Colorado. I know you're saying, God, do I really want a pitcher from Colorado? I would take Gray and I'll take Bard. Those are the two guys I probably would take in the Colorado Rockies pitching staff. Bard's going to get save opportunities. If you need saves and he's available, it's not a bad pickup.
Yeah, and Jose Alvarado in Philadelphia is not, well, he's on the COVID list right now, but I don't think he actually has COVID. I think he was just a contact guy. So he has to sit out until he gets the negative test. He's averaging 18 strikeouts per 9 innings right now. The Philadelphia bullpen is a mess. So it's pretty easy to see him, if he keeps pitching, when he comes back, if he's dealing, that Joe Girardi will go to him in the 9th inning, and suddenly he can have that value that a closer would have too.
Gosh, you're an upbeat lady. Oh, that's a good Groundhog Day quote. He's not a lady at all, but I was very excited to hear that because I have Jose Alvarado also. I have all these guys I'm speculating on because I had this disastrous stuff happen with the Trevor Rosenthal thing. So I sure hope you are right. I do want to give a shout out to Ross for picking up Yimi Garcia. That was a smart pickup.
He got a save today. He's a save today.
Listen,
Marlins won 3-0.
Those teams that don't win a lot of games, but they're closers, if they're pitching well, especially if they don't have a great staff around them. One of the reasons I drafted Richard Rodriguez is he didn't have a great staff around him. Who's he going to lose the job to? He's not going to lose
no one.
Let's
talk about, I want to talk about players that on the DL that are high-end players that their value's gone down because they haven't played in like a week or 2 weeks, that maybe you should consider trading for because their value is not what it should be at. So I have a list. I want to get your opinion, what you guys think. I'll mention a name. You guys just say yay or nay. Ready?
I'm ready.
You can say more than yay and nay, but just, we got a little time left. I think this will be a fun little game. Christian Yelich.
Oh, I love him.
Oh,
Get him if you
definitely
can.
a yay.
Okay, so that's a yay. Cody Bellinger.
Yay.
Yay.
Are we playing in a two-team league?
He's good. They already said his injury's going to be there like the whole season. It's not going away, Cody. It's not going away, Casey.
Look, if you're in a keeper league, you're not only assessing his value. If you're in a redraft league, sure, his value it gets dropped a lot if he's out until June.
Okay, Anthony Rendon.
Absolutely, I'd want Rendon.
These are all, to me,
George Springer. George Springer.
We're not huge Springer fans. It depends what I'd have to give up to get him.
Yep.
Keep Brian Hay. I can never say his name. Keep Brian Hayes, third baseman for the Pirates.
I love that pickup. He's a young guy. I think he'll come back from the injury just fine. I would scoop Brian Hayes up.
And this is a Casey pickup. Are you ready? He plays for the New York Yankees. He plays first base. Luke Voigt. What do you think?
Absolutely. Give me the guy who won the home run title last year, especially.
And then I already talked about Max Fried and Jock Peterson. They're not hurt, but they're not playing great. But those two guys, I think, are somebody that you consider picking up and stashing maybe. Anybody else I'm missing off my list? Those are high-end players that are hurt. The
one high-end player that comes to mind that we didn't mention is Alberto Monday, who hasn't played yet this year.
It's a good one.
Again, I'm a fan, as Dan knows. I've owned him for a few years in our keeper league because I think single-handedly I don't have to worry about drafting steals. I can deal with the 3 months of abysmal offensive metrics for the 2 months of amazing offensive metrics in which he plays like the best player on the planet. So he's somebody, if you draft smart, you can compensate for his cold streaks. And then when he's hot, he can literally carry you through to a championship.
So let's do something. Let's do a pack tonight. Let's say all three of us in our league all do trades for the players I just mentioned for like really kind of undervalue it, but all three of them will do it at separate, the same day, and just see what that person does.
All right, so you're just saying make an offer. We don't have
just
to
make an offer for some of the people on this list, because this person's going to be sitting at their desk and seeing all these offers coming in for the same player, and it's going to drive them crazy.
Happened?
Well, I have Yelich and Mondesi, so feel free on
Okay,
those
well, if
two,
it's you, I'm not doing it, but the other guys, they're open game. It's just fun to do.
I'm
and
gonna
just
offer a trade to myself.
and they'll be sending us emails. Don't worry.
Now I'm going to name two that I have actually, so feel free to make offers on these. Chris Sale, he's going to be back eventually, and
I predicted he won't have a win this season. You heard it from me first, Ross the boss.
He won't have
no win, zero.
So Dan, he's going to offer you a very poor trade.
Yeah, I think so. Well, what about Carlos Carrasco? What do you think of him?
I like Carrasco. I have no idea when he's coming back. There's no press on it. I can't get anybody to tell me when he's coming back.
Well, the news I have is that he's progressing very well.
That's all I hear. You know, two guys I have on the IR, I think they're related. Are they? The Marte? Are they both the guy for?
They're not
Starling
related,
Marte?
I don't believe.
Thanks,
Ketel and Starling Marte.
Yeah, I have both of those guys, and they're both on the IR, and I'm so pissed, but I can't do anything about it.
That's almost like asking if two people named Jones are related. There's a lot of there's a lot of guys out there. I love that topic though, Ross, and I think we should keep up on that. And listen, Yahoo, if you're watching, why don't you have an IL search function? I want to know who those guys are. I have to comb through hours and hours and hours. Just give me an IL function. What is wrong with you people? Okay. You never get anywhere from complaining about things. So guys, anyone else that we should mention just to highlight as players, or did we nail this? I'm pretty sure we nailed it.
Oh, we were
Back in the
good
wind,
today.
we nailed it. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. And if you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below. And Sam, thanks for joining us live. It was fun seeing you. Come back and let's talk some more baseball here on MFSN.
Oh yeah. From Kill Cliff, the #1 clean energy drink in the mind of Joe Rogan, comes the Flamin' Joe. Sugar-free, B vitamins, electrolytes, all them good drink things. An epic spicy pineapple fusion from out of this world, straight into your drink hole. Only KillCliff.com.